dan terdepan untuk menghadapi masa depan. Mahasiswa bisa berinteraksi dengan para pakar dan merasakan langsung ekosistem dunia kerja. Program pertukaran mahasiswa Merdeka memberi kesempatan.
Shalom, may peace be upon us. Om Swastiastu. A very good morning to each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ita Sadana. It is an honor and privilege for me to be your master of ceremony. Welcome to the UID Bali Campus, Kura-Kura, Bali for the Tri Hita Karana Future Knowledge Summit, the intergenerational dialogue for our emerging future. First and foremost, on behalf of our host, the Tri Hita Karana Forum of Sustainable Development, allow us to convey our gratitude and warm welcome to His Excellency, Minister Nadiem Anwar Makarim, the Minister of Education, Culture, Research and Technology of the Republic of Indonesia. Her Excellency, Madam Speaker Lestari Murdijat, the Vice Chairman of the People's Representative Assembly of the Republic of Indonesia. All of our distinguished panel speakers, honorable guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Tri Hita Karana Future Knowledge Summit, the intergenerational dialogue for our emerging future, aims to provide the space for frontier thinkers, youth leaders, innovators, practitioners, academia, and all the key actors to have dialogue and take part in the journey of realizing our happy common future. To warm up our remarkable occasion, ladies and gentlemen, let us give a big round of applause for all of us today. Excellencies, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of the Republic of Indonesia. Indonesia Raya. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Excellencies, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. To commence our forum, let us hear the opening remarks that will be delivered by the Minister of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology of the Republic of Indonesia. Give a big round of applause for His Excellency, Minister Nadiem Anwar Makarim. The stage is yours.
Honorable state officials, distinguished speakers, colleagues, heads of universities, guests, ladies and gentlemen, and last but certainly not least, students from all around the country. It is my pleasure and it is my honor to be able to participate in the 2022 Tri Hita Karana Forum taking place in this beautiful United in Diversity campus in the beautiful island of Bali, Kura-Kura, Bali, to have this intergenerational dialogue on our emerging future. Why is intergenerational dialogue so important? Because fundamentally, the problems that we need to solve are the problems of tomorrow. And the burden of the problems of tomorrow will be disproportionately borne by our younger generation. So all of us, leaders in government, social sector, leaders in private sector, we all have to work together. We all carry the responsibility to make sure that when the next generation grows up and takes over these leadership positions, that this world will be a better place than what it is today. UID is an institution for a common sustainable future and have been working with global institutions such as Tsinghua University to deliver impact to Indonesia and to accelerate the sustainable development goals. Now, education has been a critical part of our strategy to create a sustainable future. Indonesia, in the past 3 years, has been embarking on probably the most radical transformation in its education in the past 30 years. We have completely transformed how we measure the quality of education in Indonesia, from subject-based testing, from information and rote systems, into really focusing on foundational competencies such as computational logic, numeracy, critical thinking, and problem solving. This was a massive transformation how we assess the system and has sent a massive signal of change across Indonesia's educational institutions. Right now, 140,000 schools, close to 50% of our schools in the country, are embarking on a new curriculum that focuses on project-based learning. 20% of class time is done launching projects related to climate change, related to interreligious tolerance, related to entrepreneurship, related to local diversity, and a few other key themes to embark upon. For the first time ever, we have unbundled higher education in Indonesia. Literally, any world-class company, world-class industry, world-class social sector, NGO, nonprofit, or even government entity can become an accredited university for a semester. 400,000 university students in the past 2 years have left campus to go embark on project-based learning, conducting research in renewables, teaching in a school in the outer islands of Indonesia, or learning technology skills from thousands and thousands of technology-based companies, engineering-based companies around Indonesia, and multinational companies as well. We are sending students for semester courses abroad, and also pushing students to study in different universities to learn more about a different side of their country. This is the most transformational process that must be sustained moving forward. One of the key pillars of the emancipated learning or Merdeka Belajar philosophy is global citizenship and diversity. And that's really why we are here today. We're here today to celebrate that drive for innovation and to celebrate our youth to be able to carry on the torch when we are no longer here. Today is a very, very important milestone. It is my great honor to be able to learn from diverse perspectives and experiences from our honorable speakers, including one of my personal inspirations, Mr. Elon Musk, arguably one of the most visionary entrepreneurs of our age today, someone who has consistently tried or refused to accept the boundaries of what is impossible. And so that should be a very, very interesting discussion. And following this, we'll also have the Festival Kampus Merdeka, supported by United in Diversity, and very excited to share the progress of all the things we've been doing to transforming Indonesia's education. Welcome again, everyone, to this wonderful event. I hope you all an incredible experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again for the opening remarks, His Excellency Minister Nadiem Anwar Makarim. Excellencies, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, to give you a context of our discussions of the day, let us hear a keynote speech that will be delivered by the President of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solution Network. Please welcome Mr. Jeffrey Sah. The stage is yours.
Good morning, ladies. I don't want to stand behind a podium, so I want to be together with you. And I want to say how thrilling it is to be back in this place. 9 years ago, we were right here with a shovel. There was no campus, there were no buildings, there was just Sherry with her vision of what this would be. There were also turtles hatching from eggs, rushing to the water, and we saw the absolute beauty of this place. This is a place of learning. This is a place of sharing knowledge. I want to start by acknowledging the great wisdom of Indonesia to not wear ties on hot days. So if I could learn a little Asian wisdom, I'm going to take off my tie. Thank you. That's okay. We're here to celebrate 3 initiatives and 3 basic ideas that I think together form the core of why we are so inspired by this place and by this vision. The first idea, as you know, is knowledge, future knowledge. We just saw about daring to see the future. You know, when the Sustainable Development Goals idea was first proposed for the world leaders, the then Secretary General Ban Ki-moon created a panel to think about what kind of goals the world should share. And the report that they issued had a wonderful title. It was called The Future We Want. And I think this is extremely important. This is really at the core of knowledge. We are trying to use our knowledge and insight for a purpose, not simply for power or for wealth or for the next technological advance, but to build a decent future. And that, I think, is the core of the spirit of this creative campus and of Kura Kura Bali, a place of peace and a place of knowledge for the future. And I can't tell you how much we admire you, Minister Makarim, for your leadership. You are so fortunate to have a leader, a minister of education like Minister Makarim. We had in the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network a worldwide meeting of university presidents. And we had several hundred university presidents on the line, and Minister Makarim spoke to them, and he inspired them incredibly, and we can still see the fallout of that, because what you are doing here is being watched and studied and emulated around the world. So thank you so much for this incredible, incredible breakthrough that you are making. And one of the main points that the minister emphasized is experiential learning. Learning by problem solving. Learning by taking the real challenges that you face. And this is for all the young people here and the young people around this country. You are building the future that you want and that you are seeking. Congratulations. The minister is putting you to work for that, but what wonderful work that is. How inspiring, and we're going to learn so much from what you accomplish. So thank you. The second big idea of the recent days that is already inspiring the world leaders that are assembling here in Bali is blended finance. Why finance? Finance is also an idea. Finance is the way in the economy that we link the present with the future that we want. When we build the future, we must invest in the future. And when we want to transform societies to be more fair, more prosperous, and more sustainable, we must invest in that transformation. And finance is the set of tools for investing in the transformation for the future that we want. What is blended finance? Blended finance recognizes that for the crucial and complex transformations that we need to finance that future together in the private sector and the public sector, and with knowledge and civil society helping to guide that finance. We have many areas of transformation ahead. Of course, we've already been inspired by the minister in the transformation of education, nothing less than a fundamental transformation in how we learn so that we can build the future. We know from the pandemic we need a transformation in our healthcare systems. We know from the climate change that we need a transformation in our energy and industrial systems. We know from the beauty of this island, but its fragility, that we need a transformation in our land use systems. We know from the fact that today, nearly 60% of the world population lives in cities, and that will rise to 75 or 80% in the coming decades, that we need fundamentally to invest in the core of the infrastructure of our cities for mobility, for productivity, for connectivity, for healthful and good lives. And we know fundamentally that we must transform using the remarkable tools of the digital revolution. So we have at least 6 fundamental transformations ahead: education, health, energy, land use, urban environment, digital services. And for all of that, we need finance. And it is Sherry's great accomplishment over many, many years that she has continued to tell the world, whether she's sitting as one of the leaders of the International Chamber of Commerce or Unity and Diversity, or her many other roles as business entrepreneur, that we need blended finance, finance that brings together private finance and public finance for this accomplishment. And now the G20 leaders are coming to Bali to ratify this vision. And Bali, I believe, will be a historic G20 summit, because we know we need a new global financial architecture, and it is being created here, and it is being created with the great vision of this government, with Sherry's vision, with the knowledge that has been generated in this remarkable place. There's a third core idea that brings us here today. Why are the world leaders converging on Bali, one of the most beautiful and revered places on the whole planet? And I would say that third idea is values, human values, the values that give us our worth, our identity, our sense, our purpose. And the values that bring us together today are Tri Hita Karana, the values of Bali that are values for the world. Fundamentally, Tri Hita Karana is the value of harmony. It's the value of not fighting wars, of ending wars through diplomacy, of not having geopolitical conflict, but of discussion, of dialogue, of mutual respect. And as you know, Tri Hita Karana means pathways to happiness. 3 fundamental pathways to happiness. Through harmony of people, the base of that pyramid of sustainable development, ensuring the end of poverty, ensuring the end of hunger, access for education, and the rest. The second pillar is harmony with nature. And the third pillar, the one that brings us the highest, is spiritual harmony, the understanding that we are all interconnected. We must seek a common destiny and a common future. We seek a common future of peace, prosperity, and sustainability. Thank you so much to the young people of Indonesia. You are building the future.
Thank you to Mr. Jeffrey Sir. Excellencies, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, education is one of the gateways to be able to build the future ability in order to prepare future generations who are wise, independent, tough, agile, and full of awareness in undergoing change and transformation. Hence, we need to prepare the relevant education system in nurturing future leaders who will advance meaningful science and technology innovation. Let us continue our panel session in envisioning education for future science and technology. It is our delight to welcome our honorable panelists that I believe we all have been waiting for. Joining us virtually all the way from the United States, allow us to extend our warm welcome to the CEO of Tesla Motors, Mr. Elon Musk, that will be joining us later on this session. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Envisioning Education for Future Science and Technology panel. Please welcome our distinguished moderator, the Minister of Education, Culture, Research and Technology of the Republic of Indonesia. Give a big round of applause to His Excellency, Minister Nadiem Arwan Makarim.
We're on.
Should I need to turn it?
We're,
My video is on.
yeah, you see it, Edward?
I think, hello.
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 Elon, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm very, very good. Allow me to just introduce myself right now. My name is Nadiem Makarim. I am currently the Minister of Education, Culture, Research and Technology. But before this, I was a technology entrepreneur. I founded one of the largest on-demand services in Indonesia, payment, ride-hailing, food, a few of the other services. So I just wanted to let you know that I am a big fan of yours. You've been an inspiration to me and many of my peers and colleagues for many, many years. So you could classify me as a fanboy here. And I have the privilege and honor of being able to ask you a few questions, if that's okay. Is that all right?
Absolutely, you're most welcome.
Thank you. I think the first question, and you know, we have a lot of youth here, a lot of young people. I think one of the things that confuses a lot of us is, how are you able to do so much? It's a very simple question, but I think we would love to hear, what are your tools for productivity or principles? We just can't believe the amount that you do. Can you tell us a little bit about how you do the amount that you do?
Well, I do put in a lot of hours. I'm not sure I would necessarily recommend what I do to others, in the sense that I pretty much work all the time. So, you know, it's quite rare for me to take even a Sunday off. So I'm not sure that's necessarily, you know, what I'm not recommending that to many people. With regard to tools for understanding the world, I think the physics framework is extremely helpful. It's, you know, in physics they call it thinking from a first principle standpoint, where you try to understand the most fundamental truths in a particular situation, and then you reason up from there, and then you test your conclusions against the what you believe to be the fundamental truths. So in physics, it would be like testing to see if you're violating conservation of energy or conservation of momentum or something like that, and then constantly, you know, trying to be less wrong. So you should always like assume that you're to some degree wrong, and you want to be less wrong. This is, I think, very important. It's a little tougher on the ego, but it's great for getting to the truth of things. Is aspire to be less wrong.
That's amazing. The iterative process, constantly having that healthy dose of skepticism, and of course the sheer amount of hours that you put in. You know, Elon, when I started implementing, I came from the private sector, so imagine the challenges I had to face when I was entering the government. And one of the things that I've noticed is that when you are trying to change things, the amount of resistance to change is extremely high and extremely painful. And you have an entire group of people who are, I would categorize them as naysayers, who are constantly trying to say that what you're trying to achieve is impossible. So my question to you, Elon, is how do you deal with the naysayers? How do you deal with the people who say, no, you are shooting too far ahead. You are trying to do something that's impossible. Don't bother doing it, or are resistant to change. How do you manage that resistance, the naysayers out there, and continue on?
Well, I would go back to physics in that the only things that are truly impossible are breaking the laws of physics. So as long as you're not breaking the laws of physics, it's possible. And it doesn't matter what anyone's opinion is. You know, physics is the law and everything else is a recommendation. I've seen plenty of people break the law, but I've never seen anyone break physics.
Please give a round of applause.
I mean,
anything within the laws of physics is possible.
Yeah. I mean, and you can certainly challenge the laws of physics, but they've been challenged quite well and have found to be resilient.
Oh, that's incredibly simple and powerful response there. You know, given that we have a lot of university students here, we wanted to go a little bit into your younger days, Elon. I'm very curious to know, are there several milestone events that happened either in your childhood or in your early youth that you think had the most profound impact to who you are today? If so, can you share a little bit about those moments?
Well, I read a lot of sci-fi and fantasy books. I mean, it's not going to surprise anyone that I, you know, sort of like Star Trek, Star Wars, and that kind of thing. In fact, Star Wars was the first movie I ever saw in a movie theater. So you can imagine if you see an incredible movie like that, and it's the first time you've ever even been in a movie theater, I think I was 6 years old, it's going to have a really big effect on you. Yeah, so reading and watching a lot of sci-fi and fantasy, you know, Lord of the Rings is probably my favorite book. But I'd say Isaac Asimov had a huge effect on me, the Foundation series. Robert Heinlein, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. And then in trying to find the truth of things, I explored many avenues and ultimately found that physics was the best way to explore the truth of things. So, you know, at the risk of being a broken record on the physics front, I strongly recommend studying it. Yeah.
Amazing. And if we can just look into, you have made a lot of innovations within your organizations. You've also been quite explicit about certain ways that education should actually change. One of the things we did in Indonesia recently is we've almost completely unbundled higher education, Elon. We have made every single company, nonprofit, all the external institutions outside of university into an accredited university for 1 semester. So now higher education is really a collaborative effort of all institutions, including technology companies. I wanted to know your thoughts about education, and in your ideal world, what would education look like? Either lower education or higher education. If you have some thoughts on that, please enlighten us on what your ideal education in today's world would look like.
Sure. Well, I think when you're trying to learn something, it is extremely important to establish relevance, to say, why are you trying to learn this? Because our minds are constantly trying to forget things. So our minds are at a subconscious level trying to decide what is relevant and what is not relevant. And so most of the things that you see in here, your mind does not want to remember, because there's no point in remembering it. So you have to establish relevance. This is why you want to say, like, why, this is why you should learn this subject or that subject. And once you establish relevance, your mind will naturally want to remember it. So there's I think 2 fundamentally different ways to approach education. One is by teaching to the tools, and the other is by teaching where you want to solve a problem and trying to understand what tools do you need to solve the problem. So, for example, it would be quite boring to have a series of lectures about wrenches and screwdrivers and winches and whatnot, but without establishing relevance. But if you say, well, let's take apart an engine. Now, how do we take this engine apart and put it back together? Well, we're going to need screwdrivers. We're going to need wrenches. We're going to need a winch. We'll need maybe some Allen keys, and you'll have to take it apart and then put it back together. And then you'll understand in the process of doing that why those tools are relevant, and you will remember them. This is a very simple but important principle, which is explain the tools in the process of solving a problem. And then the tools will make sense. Otherwise, they will seem irrelevant, and people will not remember them, and motivation will be difficult.
And do you think to make those tools within a contextual situation, therefore increasing relevance, is that happening right now in educational systems around the world? What do you think needs to change from maybe a teacher perspective or a curriculum perspective?
Yeah, like I said, I think there is generally or there's often, things are backwards, where they'll teach the tools instead of teach you how to solve a problem, and then establish the relevance of the tools. So, you know, you might take a course on calculus, for example, but you don't know why you're taking a course in calculus. It just seems like a mental obstacle course that doesn't have any point. And actually, for a lot of people, I'd say it probably is a mental obstacle course that has no point, because unless you expect to use it in the future, there's no point in learning calculus, at least at a detailed level. I think the principles of calculus are interesting to learn, but not the sort of nuanced solving of equations. So I generally say, like, what is it that somebody wants to do, and then then try to solve that problem. And as you solve the problem, say, well, you need this tool, you need that tool, you need this, you know, I think, frankly, a lot of education that happens is kind of pointless, in that people are taught a bunch of things, but they don't actually ever use those things in the future. So like, why go to the trouble of teaching people things that they will not use in the future? I think that, so quite frankly, I think a lot of education is pointless. Unless one simply wants to go through a mental obstacle course and test people's ability to go through a mental obstacle course. I think it's debatable as to whether there should be, we should force people to go through these mental obstacle courses. But if I can make a strong recommendation for what should be taught early in education is critical thinking. Critical thinking is incredibly important because it creates a mental firewall to allow children to reject concepts that are not cogent, meaning like where it's sort of like having an anti-mind virus defense system. Critical thinking, if taught at a young age, creates a mental firewall that prevents false concepts from establishing themselves in people's minds. So I would strongly recommend the principles of critical thinking be taught at a young age.
Completely agree with you. We have just removed subject-based testing or content-based testing from our national assessment system and replaced it purely on logic, problem solving, and critical thinking, computational logic as foundational skills. So I'm very, very happy to hear you say that because that's really the core of, it's not what you know, it's actually, do you know what to do with information that you are given or content that you understand? Yes, and
how do you defend yourself against mental trickery? Exactly. Like people will often, just try various fallacies and sort of trap you with fallacies. And so having defense against fallacies would be, a great course.
Absolutely. And in the digital age, that ability to discern and that healthy dose of skepticism to the information that you receive is almost survival, I think, for the next generation. And I completely agree with you on that. Elon, let's talk a little bit about the future of these young people over here. Can you tell us, what do you think are going to be, if they were to ask you about career advice, what sectors do you think are going to be most exciting, most in demand, and what sectors may not be in the future, will diminish in value? If you could share a little bit about what you think on this matter.
Sure. Well, I think some of it's going to sound pretty obvious, but anything to do with sustainable energy is going to be very significant in the future. So if it's to do with lithium-ion batteries for stationary storage or for cars, aircraft, boats, that's going to be very significant. Artificial intelligence will obviously be very significant in all fields. Self-driving cars, self-flying airplanes, piloting boats. So I'd probably recommend learning those. I mean, these are very technical subjects, of course. There are many other worthy pursuits, but as a technologist, that's what I would recommend: AI and sustainable technology. I think there's a lot of opportunity in synthetic biology with the synthetic messenger RNA stuff. That's going to be a revolution in medicine. I think comparable to audio going from analog to digital. Synthetic RNA is like medicine is going digital. It's a much more profound revolution than I think most people realize. Yeah. I mean, but I'm a technologist, so there's plenty of good things to do that don't involve technology. But from a technology standpoint, I would say sustainable energy, AI, synthetic biology are probably the three big areas.
What technologies scare you the most in terms of its risk? Or are there any technologies that scare you? I don't know.
Well, I think we should be a little concerned about AI because we don't want digital superintelligence that goes wrong and causes damage to humanity. So I think we do need to be cautious with artificial intelligence. On the synthetic biology front, that has the potential to be dangerous because it is possible to create a far more damaging virus than would occur in nature. So these technology tools are definitely double-edged swords. The more powerful the technology, the more careful we need to be in how we use it.
Absolutely. One last question from myself, and then I'm going to open it up to the audience, Elon. What do you think Indonesia needs to do to become a global economic power by 2045?
Well, I think I would definitely say, widespread education obviously makes sense. I think having high-speed internet connectivity throughout Indonesia is going to be extremely important. I mean, if you think about the internet, if you've got even a low-cost device and low-cost access to the internet, you can learn anything. Yeah. MIT, for example, has, I believe the lectures are available for free on YouTube. So you can learn practically anything you want for free on the internet, provided you have internet access and at least some level of education to allow you to learn more from the internet. So I think widespread internet access is essential for that, because it just allows people to learn whatever they want to learn at whatever pace they're comfortable learning.
Thank you very much. I'd like to open it up now to the audience. If the organizer can please hand over to the first question for Elon. Can you raise your hand? I cannot see where the microphone is being. The moderator will choose the questioner. I will not be choosing. Apparently the organizer will be doing that, so. No? Is anybody going? Aha, yes, we have the first student to ask a question. Please, introduce yourself and please ask the question to Mr. Mas.
Hello, my name is Praisela Simons and I'm from Universitas Negeri Malang. I have a question for Mr. Elon Musk. So as a global innovator and world's #1 businessman, of course we have heard about your success stories and it greatly inspired us. But what about your failures or your mistakes? I want to ask, what were your biggest obstacles or mistakes that you have faced and how did you overcome it? And maybe you can also give us, the students here, a piece of advice, and that will be very amazing. Thank you.
Well, to be frank, I've made so many mistakes that it would take far too long for me to list them all. So I would not want to bore people with the extremely long list of mistakes that I've made in the past. I think that the higher principle here is that it is always to aspire to be less wrong over time. So to acknowledge that you will always be to some degree wrong, but that you wish to be less wrong over time, and if you can be a little less wrong every day, I think you're doing great. It's hard to be less wrong every day, but frankly, even if you could be less wrong most days, that's a pretty big victory. A number of things I've said before publicly, so I think it's important to place weight upon both the heart and the mind, not simply the mind. Some of the biggest mistakes that I've made in terms of hiring people have been when they were strong of mind but not of heart. And both matter a great deal. Yeah, so I think really the higher principle is just assume you're wrong and you want to be less wrong, and just try to be less wrong every day. Seek critical feedback, especially from friends. Often your friends will know what you're saying is wrong, but they don't want to hurt your feelings, so they won't tell you. But if you ask them to tell you and say that it won't hurt your feelings, then they will tell you. So I think getting critical feedback from friends is very helpful. Yeah, hopefully that is useful.
Thank you, Elon. So you can never be always right 100% of the time. We get it wrong all the time. You just have to make sure you're less wrong every day.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that we're always wrong. You should always just assume that you're wrong. In fact, you could, because we are. You want to take the aspire to be less wrong approach versus you're right and let's prove that you're right. Rather take the position of you're wrong and wish to be aspirationally slightly less wrong.
That's incredible. And find friends that are willing to disagree with you. The next question.
Hi. Hi, Elon. I'm a big fan of yours. My name is Sarah Dewanto, and I'm the founder of Duitape. We're a fintech company that does last mile payments to the unbanked, to the hundreds of millions of unbanked Indonesians. As you said, being a founder is extremely difficult. It's like eating glass while staring into the abyss. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And so we've actually now been able to do that on a smaller scale, but we need to be able to grow at scale. And that is where our pain point at the moment. How do we scale? We've proven it at a smaller scale. We've distributed last mile payments to about like 50 million unbanked Indonesians in the most remote places. But how do we bring that to something that is greater, to millions of people, not just in Indonesia, but in the world? It's not easy. So would appreciate any input you could give. Thank you.
Well, I guess I would go back to widespread internet is going to make a big difference. Minimizing the cost per useful, byte of information is very important. And like over time, like there will be. I mean, there's so many devices being made of PCs and iPhones and Android devices. I mean, there will soon be far more devices made than there are humans that exist in the world. So, at least if the device is like, secondhand, it's going to be, extremely cheap. And I think we are seeing something of a plateau in device capability. Where it's like it's increasingly difficult to add incremental useful functionality to a phone or a laptop at this point. So, which means that they will just become lower and lower cost and more affordable. But really the key is being online and having an affordable device. But I think the trends are very much in that direction. So that's a lot of reason to be optimistic about the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And the last questioner? Yes.
Hi, my name is Safira. I'm from Widya Mandala Surabaya Catholic University. My question for Elon Musk is, I'm wondering what is your day-to-day habit that turned you into a person that you are now? Thank you.
Well, in terms of a day-to-day habit, I think being curious about the world, how the world works, and curious about technology, and curious about everything, really. I think curiosity is a very important thing to have. And then to be somewhat obsessive about the curiosity. I saw probably obsessive curiosity is probably the number one thing. And I think having a sort of a sense of adventure is also good. I I think sometimes people are afraid of things when they shouldn't be afraid of things. Like, you want to make sure that your fear is proportionate to the actual danger. And I think sometimes our instinctive fear is not proportionate to the actual danger. So you want to try to rethink things, like just try to say, okay, is that fear justified? Like, will something bad actually happen? And if, you know, you sort of have to sometimes look at your instinctive fear and question it and decide whether that is, you know, really a valid fear or not. And often it is not. And simply looking at the fear will make it go away.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Elon, for that response. We've run out of time, but I just wanted to highlight a few things that I think I loved your comment, Elon, about obsessive curiosity. I believe that if we create young people who are compulsively and excessively curious, we will be able to 10x the amount of innovation that entire countries and the world in general will be able to achieve. And I think on your point about fear, I think that is one of the most salient points that we can learn from entrepreneurs like Elon here, is that all greatness, all change, all progress requires risk. And without risk, there is no progress. And I think that if the youth of Indonesia can actually start to realize and accept the fact that risk will be a constant if you want to grow, if you want to achieve, and to make that as part of your journey, and to understand that managing that fear, of which 99% of the things you're scared of generally doesn't really happen. 1% does happen, but 99% of the fears you have do not happen, is something that you will need to control and manage in order to progress. I cannot thank you enough, Elon, for providing us the time today. Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you for refusing to believe in the barriers of what is impossible. It is an honor to have been able to have this discussion with you. Thank you very much. Please, another round of applause for Elon.
And of course, give a round of applause to our greatest moderator, His Excellency, Minister Nadiem Makarim. Please stay on the stage as we are going to continue for the photo session. And we kindly please His Excellency Minister Nadiem Anwar Makarim, along with honorable panelists Mr. Elon Musk, that joining us virtually to face the camera, along with all the participants that present in person here at the UID Bali campus. Mohon izin Bapak, kamera ada di depan. Ya, Bapak mungkin tetap duduk aja, kamera ada di depan, hanya menghadap ke kamera saja. Terima kasih. Ya. Allow me to count down for the photo session. Well, actually this is the first one. 3, 2, 1. Say Bali. Give your best and sweetest smile. Oh, so beautiful. Thank you for Mr. Elon Musk for your time and sharing. And now we would like to please His Excellency Minister Nadiem Anwar Makarim to do the offline photo session with all the participants that present here in person with the tongsis Bapak. So we gotta do the Wi-Fi. Para panitia mohon diberikan tongsisnya kepada Bapak. Terima kasih. Ya, untuk audiens boleh semua berdiri? Alright, raise your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Once again, Bapak, allow me to count down in 3, 2, 1. Everyone say Bali. Yes, gotta give you the beautiful smile. Alright, thank you. And to Bapak, please kindly remain on the stage as we are going to continue to the moment of signing ceremony between UID and GMCO Ltd on collaborative GM-UID project of the International Green Technology Research and Development Institute. The second project will be between PT Bali Turtle Island Development, known as Kura-Kura Bali, and Midkai Inc. on research and development of Product Development Center in KKB, focusing on software development, data science, metaverse, AI, and VR services. And the last project signing between UID Universities or Industry and Academy Kita or Knowledge, Innovation, Technology Alliance. Therefore, we kindly invite to join His Excellency Minister Nadiem Anwar Makarim on the stage. Kindly to invite Honorable Ambassador Tantowi Yahya, Sir Gordon Duff, Honorary President of United in Diversity, Ibu Sherry Nursalim, founder of United in Diversity, Suyato, Chief Operating Officer of United in Diversity, and our signatories from Knowledge, Innovation, Technology Alliance representative, Rector of University of Indonesia or representative, Rector of the Institute Pertanian Bogor or representative, Rector of the Universitas Gajah Mada or representative, Rector of Universitas Islam Malang or representative, Rector of Universitas Hasanuddin or representative, Rektor of Universitas Pendidikan Muhammadiyah Sorong or representative, Rektor of PT Kalbe Pharma Tbk or representative, Rektor of Politeknik Negeri Malang or representative, Rektor of Politeknik Gajah Tunggal or representative, Rektor of Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta or representative, Profesor Satrio Sumantri Brojonegoro, Akademi Ilmu Pengetahuan Indonesia, Profesor Yohanes Surya of Gasing Academy. Our signatories from UID GEM Corporation representative, Professor Su Kaihua, Chairman of the Board GEM, Honorable Ambassador Tantowi Yahya, President of United in Diversity. Our signatories from Kura-Kura Bali, Midkai representative, Madam Weli Dai, co-founder and executive chairwoman of Midkai, Mr. James Kaplan, co-founder and CEO of Midkai, Mr. Aaron Tam, Chief Executive Officer of Kura-Kura Bali. We kindly please to our signatories and witness to be in position to sign the document. If everyone is finished, we kindly please to our signatories and witness to step forward from the table. Please once again step forward from the table, hold the document and show it to the camera while doing handshake gesture to mark this partnership. Bapak Ibu hadirin, jika sudah menyelesaikan tanda tangan, kami mengundang untuk hadir di depan meja untuk bisa melakukan foto sesi bersama. Sekali lagi, Bapak Ibu yang terhormat, jika penandatanganan sudah selesai, kami silakan untuk bisa hadir ke depan meja, membawa dokumennya untuk kita berfoto bersama awak media. We please to all of our media friends and documentation team to be in position. Sekali lagi kami mengundang untuk Bapak Ibu yang sudah menyelesaikan tanda tangan, kami silakan bisa hadir di depan meja berfoto bersama sambil menunjukkan dokumennya. Terima kasih. Alright, allow me to count down for the photo session, please. Is everyone ready for the photo session? Can you please show the document, ladies and gentlemen? Show the document to the camera. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Once again. Thank you very much, and you may be seated. All right. So actually, we still have another photo session in another style. Yes, please. Well, are we finished? Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a big round of applause to all of our signatories from UID Bali campus and partners. We wish you a success for your cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be returned to your seat. Once again, to all the signatories and the witness, we please you to be seated as we are going to continue to the upcoming session. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let us focus to the screen for the Tri Hita Karana Future Knowledge Initiative. Excellencies, Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we kindly please you to be seated as we are going to continue to our second panel of the day regarding future technology to realize the happiness for all. This panel will be led by our distinguished moderator, Ibu Farina Situmorang, the co-founder of Pensive Teknologi. Farina Situmorang is the CEO and co-founder of Pensive. Pensive helps enterprises and government agencies in AI-powered digital transformation. Pensive is building an AI-driven ops platform to help this organization in making better decisions for their mission-critical operations. Prior to Pensive, Farina has advised CEOs and also presidential candidates around Southeast Asia on how to create better narrative and leverage data to make strategic decisions. Farina led the digital campaign team for the then presidential candidate Joko Widodo during the 2014 Indonesian presidential election. Farina returned to Indonesia after working for several tech companies in Silicon Valley and Canada, including WhatsApp, acquired by Facebook, BlackBerry, Microsoft, and IBM. Outside of work, Farina enjoys playing golf and tennis, swimming, meditating, and reading. Farina holds a Master of Business Administration from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University, USA, and a Bachelor of Social Sciences from the University of Indonesia. Without further ado, let us start our Future Technology to Realize the Happiness for All panel discussion. And please welcome our distinguished moderator, the co-founder of Pensive Teknologi. Ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause to Ibu Farina Situmorang.
Halo, selamat pagi semuanya. Good morning, everyone. I know everyone is feeling really, really hot right now. I understand, but I see the students are still sitting down, right? I would like to call, actually, my friend who will be speaking with me, and a very amazing entrepreneur coming from Indonesia. Maybe I'll just stand first to find him. Oh, he is right here. Bapak Sehat Sutarja, please Pak, come to the stage and join me in this conversation. All right, so can everyone hear us right now? There's a lot of, right? Like it's hot, the microphone is really hot. Can you test the microphone first?
Hello? Hello? Yeah.
Can everyone hear Pak Sehat?
Can you hear me? Oh, no.
Okay, so if anyone can hear Pak Sehat say hello.
Hello? Can you hear me?
When Pak Sehat says hello, can you say hello back?
No.
Hello?
I think it's a little bit choppy. It's choppy. You have another one?
Yeah. All right. I can hear you.
Okay.
But maybe not too loud. Yeah. Organizer, can we have one here, please? An extra mic. Who here already knows about Pak Sehat? Can you guys raise your hand if you know Pak Sehat? One person, really? The students of Indonesia, do you know Pak Sehat Sutarja? No? Okay, I will introduce to you. Oh, it's a different picture. Is that you?
Okay, all right.
No?
That was when I was 40 pounds heavier.
Okay.
It was like 6-7 years ago.
All right, students, Pak Sehat now does a lot of puasa, a lot of intermittent fasting. That's why he looks like this now, right? That's first tip for you, right? Okay, Pak Sehat is the founder of Marvel Technology. Do you want to sit down or should we stand up?
Yeah, up to you.
Okay,
Okay,
let's sit down.
Let's sit down, okay.
All right, Pak Sehat, maybe I start this question with, where do you live now?
We live in Las Vegas, United States, okay. But, okay.
Okay, maybe I just want to know, first and foremost, you started one of the most successful semiconductor companies in the United States. And you did this in the 90s, right? Who here have been born in the 90s? Okay, only people in the front, not the students, right? So Pak Sehat here has started Marvel Technology, that's correct?
Correct.
So can you tell us when you built Marvel, right? This was in the 90s and you are an Indonesian moving to the United States and you started a company there. Why did you do that? That was I assume that would be very, very difficult, right? Yeah.
Right, thank you for the question. I think this is relevant to all of us. When I started company in 1995, I thought, okay, I was crazy. But the truth is, probably I'm crazy. I'm still a crazy person today. I've been preparing myself to do this since I was a child. Since I was a 12-year-old, I was very intrigued. I remember earlier Elon Musk said, you need to be intrigued, you need to be curious. I was curious about physics when I was in the 12th grade. And I wanted to know how in the hell this thing, who came up with all these ideas?
Right.
Right? Van der Waal generators, for example.
Right.
I say, okay, can I build this? And then I start working from there and graduated from trying to understand physics to trying to understand transistors. There was, at that time in 1972, there was this new thing that we call transistors. You can buy radios using a transistor radio, or you can buy vacuum tubes.
Right.
And I say, well, I need to find out what is that.
Right. And then that's why you started the company.
And that's not that quick. So I've been working all my life. Okay, I spend 4 or 5 hours every day trying to build radios. None of the radios that I built in the beginning ever worked. Sort of working, but mostly not working. And I keep trying to figure out what was wrong. Okay.
Right.
And then keep reading books. Okay. Nowadays you can go Wikipedia. In those days, the only access I have is the bookstore.
Right.
That's it. So I have to go to the bookstore to buy books, buy magazines.
Right.
To figure out what did I couldn't figure out. I mean, what did I do wrong? Okay,
right.
So that.
Right. So what was the hardest thing that you had to experience in order to get to where you are, or at that time, or it could be until today?
Sure. If you know the challenges of life, if you heard earlier, okay, but people are skeptical. We humans are skeptical by nature. We are afraid of changes. We are mortally afraid of change.
Right.
So when we see something that we do not understand, we tend to run away.
Right.
But I didn't know this because I was clueless, right? So I've been working all my life. I spent like a dozen times building radios. I finally made it to work, sort of to work. I built, amplifiers, blow up the speakers. Eventually, I made the amplifiers to work. It didn't blow up the speaker. But I didn't know that, okay, when I want to build a chip company, we built the best chip in the world. Our first chip was running at 8 times the frequency, I mean, the performance of our nearest competitor.
Right.
And people say, nonsense.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. Okay,
Right.
you're lying.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. Okay, so if I've known that, I will not be in the chip business. I'll be doing something else.
Right. Okay. I know this is a very hot room, right? And
yes.
this is a very hot stage, and we are not even sure if you guys can hear us. But we definitely can learn something from a lot. We can learn a lot from people like you, Pak Sehat. I'm sure the students here, I don't know if this is going to be comfortable or not, and if you're willing, right?
Please.
Okay. Do you guys know that back in, was it 2007, you were probably the only Indonesian who was on the Forbes billionaire list. Is that correct?
No, well.
Now you're listening, right? Like, seriously. Now you want to know how to become a billionaire, all of you guys.
I don't think that was true, because there were like tens of billionaires, I mean, multi-billionaires in Indonesia. They just pretended they were poor.
Right, okay, okay. We're not going to get into that, but look, I think a lot of people try to start companies and they want to be quote-unquote wealthy or become a billionaire like you, right? But can you give us some insight or whether or not that is actually a motivation of yours?
There will be, let me think about this, how to answer these questions. I think it will be a mistake in life if you want to do something, your motivation is to be a billionaire or millionaire. Okay. Because more likely you're going to be disappointed. It's not so easy to get there. Right. The word billionaire was never in my dictionary. Right. So when I started this, I just want to do something. I want to prove to the world that I can do better than my predecessors. So my predecessors in semiconductors are the who's who in, okay, I was an analog guy. I'm still an analog guy by nature.
Right.
There were like several dozens of, okay, gurus in analogs.
Right.
And I look up at them, okay, and I say, I understand these people know how to do things.
Right.
I want to prove to the world that I can do better.
Nice. So, did anybody catch that the motivation is not really to build wealth? It's not about, I want to become a millionaire or a billionaire, but rather, you just want to prove that I can build something better than most of these gurus. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah.
And then earlier, Elon Musk says, okay, you want to realize you need to make fewer mistakes, less mistakes every time.
Yes.
That's what I did. If you've seen, all the things that I've done it 4 or 5 times, sometimes 10 times. And every single time, I'll make it better and better and better. Every year or two.
Right.
Thank you. Every year or two, I will make it better and better. Believe it or not, last week I just came out with a new circuit that I started like 30 years ago. I finally figured out how to make it almost perfect. I cannot say perfect, but I say, so far, from statistic, I can prove that statistic from variabilities.
Right.
In life, we have variabilities. I can make it like effectively 1,000 times better.
Right.
I mean,
amazing.
So maybe not billion times. But
amazing. So now, guys, all the students out here, we have 2 billionaires already saying that you just try to do things better every day, right? Correct? So if you want to...
Or maybe not every day, or at least once a month, or
once a month, or something like that. Okay, cool. But we have a lot of like younger generations here listening to you, and I'm sure you have a lot to say for them. But are you, where you are today, are you seeing opportunities or the things that they can actually try to learn, or the skill sets they try to learn every day? Like, if you can say something or give some insight on what do you think the best things to learn are, what would that be?
Sure. I will. This is actually very important to know. Okay, you as a young generations, okay, you always question, what are the things that left for you to do, right? Because all these companies, okay, all these billionaires have already solved all the problems. That's far from the truth, okay? So we have not solved all the problem, not even close. If we want all our cars to be EVs, we cannot afford, okay, to ditch these precious resources,
right?
Okay, okay, every 4 or 5 years or 10 years even, to buy new EVs. It's just insane.
Right.
If we want 8 billion people in the world, every 8 billions, so maybe the next 7 billion people in the world to have the luxury, I mean, the iPhones of the MacBook.
Yeah.
We just don't have the resources in the world.
Right.
But here's the beauty. The beauty is we have technology. We can actually invent new things to make things more viable. I mean, to build new things to be more efficiently.
Right.
So when if you look about data centers, we're talking about building data centers. Everybody want to do online, okay, shopping, so online information.
Yeah.
If the whole world will install data centers like we have data centers in the US, in China, or in Singapore, even in Singapore, we're screwed. Okay,
Right.
we'll be like, okay, we'll be living in the world where the temperature that will be like this, without having the sun shining on us.
So if I can summarize, you're saying that we just don't need more things. We need things that are more efficient or getting better, right?
We need to build things differently.
Why?
Okay, very important, very important. We need to build things differently. We need to make things to say, yes, we've been building these things for the last 30, 40 years. I mean, like, if it's possible to make it differently, how come nobody's doing it differently?
Right.
Well, guess what? Remember, we are human, we are skepticals.
Right.
Skeptics.
Right.
So why should we change things when it's been working fine?
Right. Okay.
Yes, we burn the world, but who cares?
Right. Right.
We print more money first, and then we'll talk about how to solve the problem later.
Okay.
Let somebody else to solve the problem. And I think that's absolute mistake, number one. Number two is, we have an opportunity actually in front of us to solve this problem so that we can reduce, let's say, the consumption of data centers. Like yesterday, I say 80%.
Right.
It's within reach. Like, what if I made a mistake? What if it's not 80%? What is only 70%? I say, I'll take it.
Right. So on a more practical, if you can give advice to some of these younger generations, I just want to ask for all the students here, who here don't know what to do with their lives when you graduate? Like, do you know already what are you going to do with your lives? Can you raise your hand if you don't?
Oh,
Yang masih galau, coba tolong tangan ke tangan.
It's only 1% or 2% or 5%. Excellent.
Quite a bit,
excellent.
right? So they're still in school right now. What are the topics, what are the things that they need to understand more in order to be able to build things differently, like you said?
I agree 100% with Elon Musk on this. You need to understand why you are studying, why do you have to study certain things, calculus, physics, okay, algebra,
right.
Why? Why is it you're doing this? I can tell you, until I was in his SD 6, like the first 6 years of my basic education,
right.
I wasn't motivated. I say, why do I have to study? The only reason why I have to study is because I don't want my mom to beat me up. Okay, like sabat, right? Nggak mau disabat, yeah? So I want to make sure that I get at least 6 or 7 out of 10. So I'm out of jail.
Right.
I get home.
Yeah.
That's the only motivation I have. Okay.
Right.
Until I found the subject of physics and say, this is interesting.
You like physics?
Yeah, I bought physics book.
Wow.
I bought all the magazines to study this.
Okay.
And I say, like, the world is actually is quite interesting.
Right.
There are people in the world that came up with these ideas, and then what else can we do?
Right.
And I start buying magazines, electronic magazines. What is this? Transistors, germanium, silicon.
Right.
I say, what are these?
Right.
And then I have to scour the magazine, the phone book, yellow page, to find out where can I study this.
Right.
I think if we have in schools, if we can have like some of these subjects talking about this technology, like we've been using.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's understand the basic, the simplest stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have the next, thousands of people from Indonesia, they want to be curious about that, or hopefully millions.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then take a journey. Like once you understand, the beauty about this technology, hopefully, more and more of you will want to say, okay, now I need to study. I need to study this, math. I need to do algebra. I need to figure out how to solve these equations.
Right. Okay. So, Pa, stepping away a little bit, the topic of our talk actually and today is future knowledge to realize happiness for all, right? Now, this is, I don't know, to be honest, what that really means, but happiness for all. How do you define happiness for you first, right? And then we can start talking about happiness for all. How do you define happiness for you?
I think when you're young, maybe happiness means something else.
Yeah.
But when you get older, happiness is when you have friends, when you have best friends, they care about you.
Right.
You want to have good health.
Right.
Right. And remember Elatman say, you need to have critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if you don't have critical thinking, you're in trouble. You cannot even have good health if all you read, if you believe if you believe what you read,
right,
about the recommendation of, how to be healthy, you'll be absolutely mistaken.
Right.
You're going to regret it later in life.
Yeah.
So to me, having family, friends, and health are the most important.
Right.
The money, it's secondary.
Okay. And most people think the other way around.
Money doesn't, if you have diabetes and then you have $1 billion, it will not help you to survive.
Right.
Trust me.
Right. What about happiness for all? What does that mean? Like, what is the future knowledge for happiness for all? How do you even get there? What does that mean for you?
Yeah, that's hard to answer.
Yeah.
Maybe I can, talking about some of the people have been talking about earlier.
Yeah.
In a happiness for all, you mean common happiness, I assume?
Yeah. Well, we assume it's the part of the sustainable development goals, right? To achieve finally happiness for all, and it starts with basic human needs first being met, and then making sure the environment is taken care of, and then we go all the way to the spirit. But how, what would that mean for our discussion today? What is the future knowledge to achieve all of that? Yeah.
Okay, maybe I can tell you what I told my kids when they were young.
Right.
I have 2 kids. So they are 34 years and 32 years old. They have PhDs in electrical engineering.
Okay.
And people ask me, how come you kids want to study electrical engineering? This is what I told them. I told everyone. I told them not to do it.
Right.
Right? I told them, go do something else.
Right.
Because I don't want them to do things that I did because I told them what to do.
Yeah.
That is absolutely not a bad idea to tell your kids what to do.
Right.
However, this is what I think I did the right thing. I may be wrong, but I can say maybe I did the right thing. When they were young, I told them, you need to study, do something with your life, do something with your life. Don't waste your life. So that when you are 70, 80 years old, you can tell your kids that you have done plenty in your life to help the world. Everything else is important. It's not important, sorry.
Right, got it. Okay, we have 2 minutes. Is there any student out there that would like to ask a question to Pak Sehat? Yeah, please. Maybe we have one first, and then we'll see if we can get the... Okay, so is that done?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Sutarja.
Yeah.
First of all, let me introduce myself.
So, Mas, we have, can you just go to the question because we have the next Pak Minister is here. Yeah.
Okay. As an electrical engineer, what can we do to help improve our environment so we can make a more sustainable environment? That's all for me.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we need to use new electronics, smart electronics to reduce our energy consumption. I can tell you, that's one, one. How to use less energy. There are amazing new things that we can do. We can talk for days and years on this. Number one. Number two, we need to prolong the life of our electronics, our air conditioners, refrigerators, our cars.
Yeah.
If we can use them for twice as long, and we can reduce the waste into the environment. So improving the energy efficiency, I'm not talking about like by 10%, 20%, by sometimes 80%. Make your phones to last 2 or 3 days, your laptop to last for 2 or 3 days per charge. That means you don't age the battery in your laptops.
Yeah.
That means it's going to last way longer.
Yeah.
Right? So there's so many things you can do that we can do. Right? These are the opportunities that we have in the world.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Pak, thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you so much everyone who's listening. If I can take away one thing, everyone should start thinking about how we can build things differently, right? Build things more efficiently. And I think everyone here who's a student, if you're just willing to learn, to think critically, understand why you're learning what you need to learn, you can accomplish great things like Pak Sehat here. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much, Pak Sehat, for your conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Farina. Thank you.
All right, so let us continue for the photo session. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to our distinguished moderator and panelists. Once again, thank you very much, Ibu Farina and Bapak Sehat Sutaraja, and we please you to be seated. Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome the Coordinating Minister of Maritime Affairs and Investment of the Republic of Indonesia. Please give a round of applause for His Excellency, Minister Luhut Binsar Panjaitan. Kindly please be on stage to deliver the keynote speech, Bapak. Thank you.
Selamat pagi pada para mahasiswa yang saya cintai, saya banggakan. Merdeka! Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya dengan Menteri Arifin. Kang Arifin di mana Kang Arifin? Oh, ini berdiri dulu Kang. Tepuk tangan Pak Arifin, Menteri Energi. Saya mau sampaikan pada Anda terima kasih pada Pak Sehat Sutarja dengan istrinya yang datang dari San Diego. Tepuk tangan dulu untuk beliau lagi. Ya, beliau ini dulu dari Canisius, kemudian pergi sekolah di Berkeley, kemudian diambil PhD-nya juga di Berkeley. Jadi ada Pak Nadiem di sini. Semua kita mau bikin Indonesia itu lebih hebat. Ya. Kemarin saya bicara di Bloomberg, Anda bisa lihat di Bloomberg Forum, saya sampaikan Indonesia itu adalah negara besar dengan semua pertumbuhan ekonomi kita yang menurut saya jauh lebih bagus dari banyak negara di dunia sekarang ini, baik dari inflasi, pertumbuhan ekonomi, GDP maupun kepada hutang. GDP Indonesia termasuk negara yang paling baik di dunia. Dan itu yang membuat di kantor saya itu anak-anak muda seperti Pak Nadiem ini. Pak Nadiem kan masih muda, umur 30 berapa Dim kamu? 38, very young. Anak saya pun umur 38. Jadi Pak Nadiem ini satu hebat. Di sini juga saya ajak, siapa yang ikut saya dari kantor? Ada si Ano, ada Gita, balik kanan Gita, biar lihat. Gita ini baru juga muda, dia dari Wharton sekolahnya. Ada lagi si deputi saya, siapa yang ikut ini? Nando berdiri Nando ini dari balik kanan, dari Kolombia, tapi dia sudah kawin, jadi jangan ada yang lihat lah. Kemudian si Rahmat Rahmat dari kanan, ini Rahmat dari Taruna Nusantara, kemudian di MIT, kemudian Stanford, dia sekarang jadi deputi saya, tapi juga sudah kawin sayangnya. Jadi mereka ini banyak lagi, ada Seto, mana Seto? Seto, ada Edo, mana Edo? Edo nih balik kanan, dia nih PhD dari Stanford. Nah dia yang menangani masalah climate change. Jadi kalau Anda lihat dekarbonisasi, yang tim negosiasi kita menghadapi negara-negara 7 negara besar itu adalah Rahmat, berdiri Mat, kemudian Edo, kemudian Gita. Kemudian siapa sih nggak hadir? Bu Nani ada di sini nggak hadir. Jadi generasi kalian yang main. Jadi apapun policy yang kami buat sekarang, yang buat itu sebenarnya 5-10 tahun di atas kalian. Jadi your generation. Jadi kalian bangga untuk itu. Jadi Presiden Jokowi meminta anak-anak muda yang bermain di sini, dan sekarang kalian yang main. Ya, makanya nanti kita minta Pak Sehat Sutarja, salah satu bilioner yang ada di Amerika berasal dari Indonesia. Tadi saya kira sudah memberikan speech-nya. Elon Musk tadi sudah. Elon Musk akan datang ke Indonesia. Kemarin sudah beritahu saya nanti akhir tahun ini dia akan ke Jakarta. Kita mungkin akan bikin forum seperti ini lagi untuk ketemu dia. Pak Nadiem nanti akan juga menjadi moderatornya. Dari saya itu aja, kalian bangga. Sekarang ini persiapan G20 sudah jalan. Saya harus lari jemput MBZ, Muhammad bin Zayed, Presiden UAE, dan kemudian Biden sudah mendarat, nanti kita langsung bilateral. Ini juga Pak Arifin akan ke sana. Sekali lagi, kalian harus bangga jadi orang Indonesia. Ya. Jangan pernah bangsa ini, dengerin anak-anakku ya, cucuku, karena cucuku juga ada college di Amerika, itu juga bilang begini, dia bilang opung, grandpa, dia bilang, don't ever make any policy against the interest of my generation. Jadi itu very powerful message. Jadi saya bilang sama si John Kerry, siapa semua, kalian nggak perlu ngajarin kami mengenai climate change. Karena sekarang ini kami membuat any policy untuk kepentingan grandchildren kami atau anak-anak kami. Kami tidak mau membuat kesalahan yang korban pertamanya adalah anak-anak Indonesia. Dan itu message yang very powerful. Jadi nggak ada yang perlu ngajarin kita. Kita tahu apa yang harus kita lakukan. Kita menerima pendapat-pendapat mereka sepanjang itu tadi betul-betul memberikan keuntungan buat kita semua. Saya udah diingatkan harus pergi, harus jemput MBZ. Sekali lagi terima kasih. I'm proud of you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your keynote speech, His Excellency Minister Luhut Binsar Panjaitan. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue to the third panel, we would like to extend our welcome and greeting to the Minister Mr. Arifin Tasrif, Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources of the Republic of Indonesia. Thank you for coming today. Excellencies, ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, let us continue to our third panel of the day regarding the new era Bali Kerti Healthcare Roadmap of Future Knowledge in Healthcare and Innovation Ecosystem that will be led by our distinguished moderator, the co-founder of Nala Genetics, Ibu Levana Sani. Ibu Levana Sani is the co-founder and CEO of Nala Genetics, a biotechnology startup that focuses on personalized healthcare through genetic testing to provide the best treatment solutions that are more affordable and safe for patients. Levana studied biochemistry, genetics, and business and holds a Bachelor of Biochemistry from the University of Southern California, followed by an MBA from Harvard Business School. In 2016, Nala Genetics, in collaborations with the Ministry of Health, started its first project by providing 1,000 genetic test kits at affordable prices for people with leprosy in 5 villages in Papua and West Papua. From this test, it was found that 20% of leprosy patients there have the gene that is responsible for the potential fatal reactions of dapsone, an anti-leprosy drug covered by the government. This discovery helps doctors determine safe treatments to give the people with leprosy. In 2021, Levana Sani was selected to the Forbes 30 Under 30 for her contribution to Nala Genetics. Currently, Nala Genetics has received $12.6 million US from Series A funding and was selected as the first place winner in the mobility and healthcare categories at the 2021 G20 Innovation League event. Without any further ado, let us start our new era Bali Kerti Healthcare Roadmap of Future Knowledge in Healthcare and Innovation Ecosystem panel discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Ibu Levana Sani.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's very, very hot, but we're going to talk about some cool stuff. So we've talked about physics, we talked about chips and technology. Today we're going to talk about biology and life sciences and what it means for the future. Dr. Wang Jian is a revolutionary in this field, and he's leading one of the largest sequencing companies in the world, and have been a part of Indonesia's and the region's development for the past few years. It is an honor to have him here in the event, and it is an honor to be able to ask a couple of questions about Dr. Wang Jian. Dr. Wang Jian, please welcome to the stage. Thank you so much for having us. Dr. Wang Jian has a presentation to share with all of you today to hopefully start the conversation and inspire all of you. Please, Dr. Wang Jian, stage is yours. ready whenever you are.
Yes. Say, you may start to ask questions.
Yes, would you like to present the presentation first, or would you like for me to ask a couple of questions first? I have to go.
Question,
yeah, okay, for sure.
Yeah.
Would more than happy to. So we have a lot of students here. A lot of students who are inspired in not only sciences, but also technology. And I want to give them a little bit of history of how amazing the work you've done in the genomic sciences.
Okay.
Yes, and you created BGI in the first human genomic project. That was a long time ago. And today the genomic field have evolved a lot. What do you think are some of the challenges before and today, and how is it different?
Well, genome project, that was a new one, it's a new thing. So people at the beginning, not many people agree with that. So that's the most difficult part. We have to convince the people, the support, the government agency, all those kind of things. Now the genome project is more and more become a popular things, and lots of people understand. Now it's in China and in Western countries, it's become a very useful tools for researchers and for the clinics, for the agricultures. So I think in the near future that will become the really big one. So, yeah.
Hello? And we can already see that in many of the projects that you already have in Indonesia, and also in many other global institutes that you have helped support. Can you tell us a little bit more about your excitement here in Indonesia? What is special about this region to you personally as a scientist and as an adventurer and even as a sportsman?
Okay, Indonesia is a very special place. Now in the southern part of the earth, there's sunny, and
very sunny,
sunny and warm temperature. It's very good for the agriculture, for the green environment. So I think yesterday I went someplace to see the terraces, and we see that the rice can grow 4 seasons, 4 harvests per year. I never imagined that in China.
Really?
I think it's so the agriculture is given very, very impressive, and we can work with them and improve the seeds and the productions and reduce the labor works and all this kind of things. And we also see that in the tropical region, there's lots of tropical diseases, infection disease, thalassemia, all this kind of genetic disease, and we also can help to reduce this kind of bad impact. So also for the cancer and cardiovascular disease will become the next big things.
Yes.
We have to pay attention to that.
Yes.
So what we can do is, I think, the DNA and the genome technology and the cell and the stem cell and the stomachs, all of this new cutting-edge new technology will help from the human health to the agriculture, to the marine biology, to the environment protections.
Yes.
This new technology can provide lots of
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've heard a lot of scientific advancements that genomic and sequencing technologies have really enabled in the past few years. And parts of that is agriculture and human health. And it matters to all of us. But I wonder to Dr. Wang Jian, what do you think is personally one of your favorite discoveries or your personal discoveries about in the human genomics or agriculture genomics that is impactful to you personally?
Well, for the agriculture, we are focused on the rice.
Yeah, we all like rice, yes.
Yeah, so I grew up in the place in the southern China. Our life depends on the rice. So we started a rice genome project there 20-some years ago.
That's awesome.
And after 20 years, we're still working with the rice. Now we are develop the perennial. That means you plant rice and you can harvest year and after year. And now it's 7 years. So with that project started with Yunnan University's Dr. Hu. Now we are working closely with him and try to send this project all over the world. I think and that will be the change, the rice, the traditional rice planting and breedings and all these kind of things. Absolutely. And also for the health things, I check my DNA, see what kind of genetic disease, the bad genes I carry and I have, and also I'm a little bit afraid about the cancer. So every year I'm doing the early detections, try to prevent and predict all the cancer things.
That is absolutely right. Food and health. Rice. Who doesn't like rice? And these technologies can really help us. Even in the hottest places or the driest places, we can make sure to have food sustainability in the future. And to do that, we have to first invest in the human themselves, and that's why disease risk and also human genomics is an important aspect of your investments in BGI. And that's wonderful. And I guess this is to tee up your questions for Dr. Wang Jian, especially those who are scientists deep in your heart. This is really your chance to ask a very thoughtful question for Dr. Wang Jian. But before that, there's a lot of students here. What do you think are your advice for future scientists and future innovators in life sciences here today?
I think the future is coming, and right now there's two directions. One is material science. That means physics and chemicals, all the kind of things, and business is still the majority in the world. But for humankind, what's the final goal? What's your life journey you want to do? I think the life science will become the next big things, the biggest things. So I would like to ask the young people, young students and future science to really pay attention to the life science. And this is your life. It's your business. It's your ability. It's your opportunity. So we are in the Asian country, we are behind the Western countries for the Industrial Revolution. I think the next revolution will be the life science revolution. Not face it, not catch up, not be the leaders, not always follower.
Yes. So be the leaders, not the followers. That's the wise words of an innovator, a scientist, and a successful entrepreneur. So I was wondering if there's any other questions, anything at all for the science. There we go. Perfect. I hope you don't mind answering a couple of questions from the students.
Hi, Dr. Wang Jian and Balevana. My name is Rana, and I'm currently a dental student who actively involves in research in regard of special needs dentistry. This question may not be particularly about gene and DNA cell, but I would like to ask a very pragmatic questions that I think will help a lot of probably young scientists and young researchers here. How do you manage multiple research at the same time, and how do you opt out of burnouts? I mean, you did a PhD and study abroad. I bet there will be a lot of obstacles about it, but how do you motivate yourself and basically do multiple research at the same time? Thank you.
Okay, that's good questions. In BGI, we set up a big goal. So what we can do for the future and what we can do for ourselves, what we can do for our families. And this is the things we are thinking about. So when we convince people, say, you want to live longer? Yes. You want to live healthier and health? Of course. You want to be happier? Of course. So for this kind of reason, only the life science and genome research can provide the fundamental support to achieve these big goals. So now say, can we erase or prevent all this infection disease? So far, we have lots of challenges, but yes, we can, because with the new technology, we lower the cost, and you can save more people's life. And for the cancers, can we predict it and prevent it and early diagnosis, and then we still, we can do it. And again, if we lower the cost, we can save lots of people's life. Yes. So that sense, you do this big sense, you ask yourself, would you like it to do it? Is that important for your life? If the answer is yes, why not? Go ahead. So we saved ourselves first, and we saved the people in this meantime. So that's why I talk to our employees, talk to our young students, they like it. So we have fun, work together, we change the world, and we do good for the world.
Thank you so much. So what motivates us begin with us. Thank you.
Of course. So dream big, and the rest will follow. Any other questions? While we wait, actually, do we have time for another question, or? While we wait for, I guess, the moderator as well, I was wondering for one of the, oh yes, there is a question. Sorry about that, I didn't see that.
Thank you, Dr. Wanjian. So I think I would like to direct to the questions, when we are talking about the genome, and then how do you see the issue of the ethics when you go to that genome research, and also the usability of the research of the genome? How do you cope with the ethics of using that? Thank you. Ethics.
Oh, the ethics of the diseases.
The ethics of the using of the data of the genome.
Oh, ethics in genetics, yes. Yeah. A very important topic, yes.
Okay. So I have been in this field more than 30 years. From the beginning, we talk about all this kind of genetic senses involve all this personal privacy, and also the data security, and also the ethical issues. So we do things first, again, we ask ourselves if we really want it, is for business purpose and or for the personal good. If it's for personal good, just go ahead. And we have to follow all these regulations, the laws, and all this kind of things. So we are running the BGI around the world. In the European, we have to follow the GDPR, this kind of personal data security things. And in Southeast, we are in the Middle East countries. We sequence people's genome, we deliver data, but we don't touch it. So until they ask us, otherwise we don't touch it. Remember, China has 1.4 billion populations. We have enough data. So for that kind of reason, we have to follow the law, follow the regulations, follow the people's needs. If people want to keep their own data, we never touch it.
Absolutely. It is a matter of personal quality of life, and when you prioritize that, a lot of the regulations and a lot of the barriers can be overcome with that North Star in mind. With that, I'm very thankful for your time. I know it's hot for everybody, but I thank you for everybody who is here and inspired. I hope everybody can achieve life sciences in the future together. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wang Jian.
Thank you so much, and please remain on the stage since we gotta have the photo session. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to our distinguished moderator and also panelists. We would like to invite all of our media friends and documentation team, please, to be in position. All right, once again. All right, are we done? Not yet? Okay, once again, thank you very much to Ibu Levana Sani and also Dr. Wang Jian, and you may return to your seat. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the following section is the presentation from Dr. Wang Jian itself, and I please you to have the stage. Thank you. All right, if you're ready for the presentation, Dr. Wang Jian, yes, of course, you can start the mic.
Sorry about this. I think it's close to the room time. It's very hot. I'm short my presentations in 5 or 10 minutes. So it's too hot. so I'm talking about the genome, the DNA, and the cells, and the stomics, and for all the in the emerging futures. So see the new technology, what's going on there, what's the application feel what we can do with these new things. So when the U.S. leading the Human Genome Project, that was 30-some years ago, and for one person, for one genome, that costs $3.8 billion. And now the price dropped and the coverage increased. So the question is, the genome costs from $3 billion to the $100. So the question is, personalized genome map, do you need it? Are you going to buy it in $100? So I think in my place, most people will raise their hands. So we want it. We can use genomic technology to predict and diagnose almost all genetic and genome disorders. So this is the number we show in here to see how many cases we have done, how many data we have delivered, how many families and people we have saved to solve their problems. And this is the number we did for the birth defect. It's more than 11 million. The pregnant women was tested. And for the newborn screens, we did more than 1.5 million. All this things, the basic count is more than millions. That means we save lots of people's, save lots of monies and save lots of families. So what we are going to do with Indonesia, and here we showed that we signed the MOU with Indonesia government. We initiate the National Genome Project. We also signed with the University of Indonesia for the students and research corporations. And we also signed with the companies who can see what we can do. So here's the data. It's a sequence lab back in China. This is the largest sequence manufacturers. Right now, we produce 100 terabytes per day. In the near future, we are going to produce 1,000 terabytes per day. That means. And the cost, our goal is bring the cost down to the $100. So the Genome Project initiative in here, in Indonesia, and it's BGI plus BGSI, from genome to precision medicine for Indonesia. I hope in here of the students who already heard about this project, I welcome you to join us. Another proposal we just discussed in last 2 days is thalassemia, which is very serious genetic disease in Indonesia. I heard this morning they take almost, they are in the third position for the insurance payment. That means that costs lots of money for the Indonesia peoples and the governments. So even the worldwide, there's 3 or 4 billion peoples, populations get this kind of related to this kind of disease. We want to screen them and reduce the potential damage for the human life. And we made the web pages called Global Declarations. And try to team up with all these countries to work on this to prevent the thalassemia. And also we have provided the therapeutic solutions for the patients. We are going to lower the cost, the real make it people affordable, available, and so can save people's life. Thalassemia could be eliminated through processing, detection, and treatment by gene therapies, by gene diagnosis. We are now working with Indonesia, Thailand, Nigeria, Congo, all of these countries, try to group up, to team up, form an international consortium specifically on this disease preventions. For the agriculture side, we contribute a lot for the research. And for the 4 major crops, we sequenced with our colleagues, international corporations, rice, wheat, potatoes, and corn. This is 4 major food. So we contribute a lot. For the plants, for the agricultures, there was a few years ago, we contribute almost 60% of the genome data for the world. And now we still work on that, and we hope this genome data will help all these research and agricultural workers. So here is the most important part. For past 20 years, we studied from the rice genome sequence to the rice comparative study, genome comparative study, to the plant the rice, breeding the rice, and for all these seeds researches. Now, finally, after 20-some years hard workers, we work with the Yunnan University in China, in southwest China, and we achieved a new strains. They call the perennial rice. That means we plant it and then we harvest. Now it's been 7 years. We just harvest. We don't need to replant and we saved lots of labors and lots of field workers. So we hope that will help Indonesia in the future. This is Tarsus in China. also it's the FAO and UNESCO's protected area. And here is Bali, and also terraces. So we want to work together to make this really happens, to help Indonesia and make the peasants, the farmers much easier and have more productions. The people has lots of fun with here. And also the marine science, and it's also it's a very important part for China. I think it's more important for the Indonesia. And here, as we go to the deepest trench of the sea, of the oceans, we go there to take the samples and try to find a more useful genes. This kind of things only can found in the very, very deep seas. So this is the project we are doing this. So with international cooperation, we go to the trench of Malayalam and get all this biosamples and sequence lots of new species. And also it's very important to find the life beginnings, what's the origin of the life, and also the evolution sense. So we contribute 80% the marine genomes for the world. Okay, the last part is most important part. So the cell is the basic functional unit for life. See, and from the sperm and fertilize the egg, and to the embryo, and to the newborn baby, and to the world, to the old. It's the whole life journey. So our gene from our daddy and from our mom is the same for our life. But while our skin, our hair, our brain, our muscle are functional different, the genome is the same. Why the cell is different? The functional is different. So we have to figure out the cell type diagram of individual life. We have to like the chemical element table to figure out each cell, why they're different. We have to define them and to name them and really find out what's the reason they are different. So the very useful technology is for the stem cell. We are the first group discovered and achieved to make the totipotent stem cells. They can differentiate to different cell types and organisms. So they will be useful for the drug discovery and artificial organs, biomaterials, 3D printings, all these kind of things. Specifically here, we make the skin cell to the totipotent stem cells, which is 3 days old. That means that cell can grow up, make an individual person or individual animals, anything. So this is my cell, my skin cell. I transform that cells to the in the 3 days, fertilized egg. So all the gene expressed, it's almost the same as a fertilized egg. That means we can make this from there to make an individual person or animals or anything is possible. And here you can see we transfer the cell to the heart muscle cells. They're still alive and functioning, bumping, all these things. We built the whole automatically system, try to make it much easier for everyone. Again, so for those kind of cells, we ask, do you want to have your own, this kind of cell lines, the stem cells, for $100? That means that's the biggest discovery and the business and the scientific achievement. So what is STOMICS, S-T-O-M-I-C? So make it simple. It's a space, time, omics, or genomics, or transomics, protein omics, all those kind of things. This is the method just come out in 2 years. So we are leading the way. We have the good publications in science, or in cells, and the development cell, and all these things. We will relieve how the individuals, they grow from the fertilized egg to the mature individual. So we try to answer this from the very beginning to the mature individuals, for the life, for the health, for the everything, all the things, and for the origin of life, for the brain science. We can always use the technology to doing this. This is right now still the only one, the highest solution and the highest throughput technology in the market. So we ask the universities and the research labs work together, what we can do for that. So we formed an international consortium we call the SOC, STOP. We try to convince people to join us. So far, there's 25 countries, almost 200 labs joined us. So we are folks attempt to use this technology to support all the research around the world, from the healthcare to the precision medicine, to the agriculture, to marine science. All this. So what is DCS? Means DNA, cell, and STOMICS. It's for everything, for everyone. Now the real challenge is the cost. So our mission is to provide this high-tech things in lowest cost for everyone in the world. So let us work together to make a DNA, cell, and STOMICS available, accessible, affordable to everyone, to everything in the emerging futures. Thank you.
Let's give a round of applause for Dr. Wang Jian. Thank you very much for sharing. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And please be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we will have an hour break. We kindly please you to enjoy the lunch at the auditorium, which will be escorted by the committee. And the afternoon session will be held at the same room, which is auditorium 2. And to all our VIP guests, lunch will be provided at the VIP holding room. So please, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your lunch. As Balin is saying, rahajeng ngerayunang. See you at the auditorium. We will start the afternoon sessions around 1:30 p.m. Thank you.